Greetings, everybody. I am Lobo, and welcome to Luna. This is episode 208 of my Minecraft survival series, and today we get started on a project that I've been wanting to get started on for a little while now. You know, and a few episodes back, we actually started formulating some plans for it over here in the lower waterside district of our survival city, but today is the day we finally start building it. And I think the reason why we're going to start today is because I haven't touched this thing in a while. You might remember when we started doing the layout, I said I was going to leave it alone for a while. I was going to make changes to it as I saw fit. And, you know, I've looked at it a few times since then and I haven't made any changes. So I think this is good because this is going to be a big part of the overall city of Luna. This is going to be a very, very important build in our city for multiple reasons, you know, and I don't believe I've given you guys the official reveal for this project yet. So maybe it's that time. I'm sure some of you guys have put it together. But this right here, over here in the lower waterside district, this is going to be the much anticipated storage system upgrade. Cue the fanfare for those of you excited for this project like I am, and there's probably a giant collective sigh from everybody else due to that buildup. But this is going to be very beneficial to Luna, okay? This build is going to be hugely beneficial for Luna, considering how much it's going to help increase our efficiency, increase our workflow and stuff like that. And I want to walk you through it real quick. So right here, we're going to have the first part of our storage system, the item input. And this is obviously where we are going to input items into the storage system, either through shulker boxes or individually. And what I'm going to do is kind of walk you through the systems, the components of this storage system step by step. So we'll follow the flow that items are going to make their way through this storage system. Yes, it's going to be a big storage system, okay? It's going to be in addition to the one we already have. The first stop the items are going to make along their tour of our storage system is going to be over here at non-stackable items, where we filter out all the, you know, the non-stackables. We filter out the armors, we filter out the maps, the just kind of randomness that, you know, doesn't need to go through the remainder of the storage system to be sorted into individual chests, right? But as far as those items that do need to be sorted into individual chests, well, over here is where we're going to do the bulk of that. This is going to be my overworld building blocks, aka my primary building blocks, the ones we're going to use most often here in Luna. And this is going to be like a multi-item sorted section where we're going to have multiple types of a particular class of item in one chest. We'll talk about that more when the time comes to actually build it, though. I'm going to take you through the remainder of the storage system. So after items make their way through this area, they will then go over here into the redstone area where we'll filter out all our redstone and redstone components and stuff like that, all in one convenient spot for easy access. Now, you might notice that this is taking up the bulk of the lower waterside district. That's because, you know, we're not just building a regular storage system here. I want these areas to be separated, almost as if they're stores that I can go to and pick up specific items that I need for specific things, right? So over here by Wolfen's Labs, we'll have our interdimensional building blocks. We'll have the less frequently used building blocks over here, like nether stuff, end stuff like that, right? Now, these areas are subject to change. You know, this is just my plan as of right now, but they are subject to change as we continue to build up this area because we're not going to get the whole thing done in this one episode. There's no way that's going to happen. So that takes care of the convenience portion of this. The blocks that we need, our main storage system out, is going to be much easier to access. But what about capacity? What about these masses of unorganized chests we have around Luna? What about our bulk storage system solutions? Well, that's where these areas come in handy. We're going to have additional access into the bulk storage area of our current storage system, and this is going to be retrofitted to offer that increased capacity and also increased convenience where we keep our items. Because I'm going to kind of rearrange it and add a lot more chests. We may triple, we may quadruple the capacity, more likely triple it, I think. I don't know. But we're going to be adding a lot more chests down here to accommodate all those masses of unorganized chests that we've gotten from tearing down mountains and digging out the sea and stuff like that. But, you know, now you may ask, what is to become of my current multi-item section of my storage system? Well, this is now going to be used for infrequently and rarely used items, mostly because this is the most inconvenient area of my storage system to actually access at this point. And this is actually the main part of my storage system that I come to most often. So, yeah, we're going to be changing things up here a little bit. We're going to be keeping stuff like, I don't know, seeds, foods, flowers, dyes, mob drops, all that kind of stuff down here. Actually, dyes maybe go in the top section. I don't know, but you get the idea. Just stuff that doesn't need to be as readily accessible is what I'm getting at. That's what's going to go down here, as well as overflow from the storage system. I do have to kind of take all this stuff out of here, though, and move it eventually once we get the rest of the storage system back up and running, but that's something we're going to save for later, because as I said, this ain't getting done completely today. We're just working on a part of it. Now, I can already sense some skepticism. Some of you guys are looking around saying, this is not enough room to get, like, the redstone in for a multi-item sorted storage system, right? And it's not. It's not, but that's not really what the plan is. I'm going to go with a different strategy for my multi-item sorting than we've done previously. And as far as, like, where we're going to put our redstone, it's not going to be located above ground. It's actually going to be located down here underneath the ground where we have a little bit more space. That would have probably been more effective if I dug over here where we actually have some hollowed area beneath the ground. I mean, we're going to have to dig out a lot of this. We're going to have to hollow out a lot more of this area. Point being, though, I have a plan. Now, there's going to be two main components that we're going to need in order to get this storage system project underway. We're going to need, first of all, a ton of hoppers. And if you've been watching this series for a while, you know that I've been saving up iron for just that purpose, right? I've been very stingy with my iron for just that purpose. Another thing we're going to need a ton of are chests, and we're going to need a ton of wood to make all those chests. And fortunately, we do have a bunch of wooded area over here, which does need to go because eventually we'll be clearing out this land to make room for a lot of water, a lot of sea, and stuff like that. So we might as well get started deforesting this area today. Now, I don't think we're going to take out all the trees in one fell swoop because, well, there's going to be a lot of them here. And I have other stuff I want to work on in this episode. Obviously, I'm very excited about it. So we are just going to take a pretty good amount of them out. How much? I don't know yet, but we'll find out. You know, at this point, let's go ahead and call Dee Dee on over here, put on a little bit of music, and collect some wood. Welcome back, everybody, and now we've cleared out a pretty good amount of this area over here. We've got all the trees down. Not that that's something to be proud of. You know, taking out trees is not something to be proud of, but on the bright side, I can now fly around here with the camera facing me and not have to worry about running my face into a tree. I mean, there's still cliffs and mountains I'm going to run my face into occasionally, but they won't be trees, you know? Look at that. You know, I was actually tempted to keep going. I was going to take down all the rest of these trees. I even set Dee Dee another little watchtower up right here, but I'm not going to do this today, mostly because I'm very excited about the storage system project. I do want to get started on the storage system project. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to leave that for later, and we're going to go ahead and get started on the storage system project. Now, as far as the barren wasteland we just left behind, well, don't you worry about those trees because these are going to go to good use almost immediately. And you know, once we do our finished landscapes here in and around Luna, I like to add a ton of new foliage, right? So we will be replacing those trees with other trees and other foliage eventually. So let's go ahead and start planning some stuff out, shall we? So there's two ways I could do this main multi-item sorted section of the storage system, two layouts, I should say. The first one I was originally considering is doing something like this, where we have two spaces in between each column of chest. And this would allow me to more cleanly kind of label what's in the chest, right? And I could make that probably look a little bit better as well. The second one offers us a little bit more capacity, though. If we just have one space in between each column of chests, we could fit a lot more items in here. And I mean, if we're really thinking about this as far as convenience and capacity goes, this would probably be better. So I think that's probably, yeah, this is probably what we're going to roll with. Right now, I'm just kind of, addressing my wants, my needs for this storage system. Another thing I'm going to want or need, this is more of a need really, is I'm going to need plenty of lighting in this area, because the last thing we need over here is a creeper in the storage system, because that, that would not end well. And I'm going to try to give mostly equal consideration to both form and function here. So obviously, as we determine our needs, that's going to also kind of influence what we do as far as the look of this place. And I want this to work as a whole, both as a functional build and as an aesthetic build. So it's going to be a little balancing act we have to do here. Now, I'm not going to talk much about what I want this place to look like aesthetically as of right now, because there is a more than likely chance that, it's going to change. My vision of this is going to change before we actually get around to building up the structure that's going to house this storage system. But, I just want you guys to know that I'm giving it some thought, okay? I am giving it some thought. I think I'm going to add some additional storage areas off to the side of the entry over here. And this is going to be like, non-sorted stuff, basically manual storage for, things I might want to keep close by. Potions, that kind of stuff. Aesthetic changes I know we're going to keep, though, I will go ahead and address those with you. So, for instance, here's one. We're going to have little corridors that link up the different areas, like the main storage area right here and our redstone area right here. It would be very convenient to just have these areas linked up by a corridor instead of having to go out and around to get from one to another, right? So, we're definitely, probably, maybe going to do that. And just to emphasize how one thing is going to influence another here, I know that based on what I want the exterior dimensions of this build to be, that we're probably going to need to shrink this down a little bit and also move the item input forward just a little bit to accommodate that. So we are losing a little bit of space here, but not too much. Planning on video, planning on camera is never a pretty thing, right? Normally you guys don't get to see this. Normally you guys don't get to see, like, how disorganized I really am. But, I'll show you every now and then. Because some of you guys are under the false impression that I'm actually good at stuff. That's not the case. Alright, I think that's about as much attention I want to give to the layout of this thing today. Because I do want to get started working on some of the components of this. But as you can see, we have made some progress as far as, how we want this thing to look, how we want to be able to access the different areas and stuff like that. In any case, what we got here so far even is much more convenient than having to, it's going to be much more convenient than having to, go into an elevator and then go through a cave to get to our items. But now it's time to begin construction of the actual storage system. And the first major component we're going to work on is the first major component in this storage system, the item input. And this particular aspect of the item input is going to focus on shulker box unloading. Now, as you can see, if we just place a shulker box on top of a hopper, it unloads fairly slowly. That is not going to work for me. A hopper minecart would work a little bit better, but a hopper minecart over two hoppers, which are going to both be pulling items out of the hopper minecart, would probably work even a little bit better than that. As you can see, it's now pulling out items much quicker, but the problem is these hoppers are eventually going to cause the minecart to back up, right? So now you can see the hopper minecart is backed up, but we are still pulling items out of here at 2 times hopper speed. I could live with that. But if we were to do something like this, where we add another hopper minecart and another set of hoppers beneath these, that should work to pull the items out and also maintain their momentum as they make their way through here. So you can see that's going quickly. This is obviously going quickly because a lot of these are getting pulled from that second minecart, and the hoppers basically are just additional item storage at this point, which basically just ensures that we can, empty our entire shulker box out, or at least get the shulker box mostly empty and not have it wait over here for too long, because, I want to get these back, as soon as possible. And I'm not going to dispute the fact that there may be a better way to do this that just hasn't crossed my mind, but, I think this should work. I think this should suit our needs. Yeah, I mean, that actually does pretty much exactly what I need to do. It empties out at least a nearly full shulker box fairly quickly. And we could quickly and easily get this shulker box back to, put more stuff in it or do whatever we need to do with it, right? I mean, eventually it will reduce back down to 2 times Hopper's speed, but as I said, I can live with that. I think this is potentially going to work. Now, as far as how we're going to get our shulker box back, here's what we're going to try. We're going to put a piston right here, and then we're going to use that to break the shulker box because I don't want to go around here with the pickaxe and risk breaking anything I don't need to break, right? But if we push this button, the shulker box will probably break and they get collected by the minecart, which does seem to be what happens. I don't know if there's a way to prevent that from happening. And yeah, I could go and look it up and figure out what we could do here, but I'm stubborn. I want to figure out some solutions for myself because that's what's fun for me. Now, I mean, as far as capturing and retrieving our shulker box goes, there's multiple ways that I think we could do this. I think one of the more common ways to do it would be to kind of just lock the hoppers, right? Lock the hoppers, and then we'll be able to retrieve the shulker box. Maybe. But I don't think I'm going to go that route. I think I'm going to go a different route instead. Because I've given this some thought. I was thinking, there's a much simpler way we could do this. Because we're routing items over to non-stackable items over here anyway, right? Non-stackable items we're going to be over there. Instead of doing that, how about we just place our non-stackable items over here? And that way, once our shulker box is actually captured by the storage system, we could just turn around and, well, there it is. So, I mean, that's, I guess, the 2 ideas for the 2 first components of our storage system that we're going to go ahead and get in place. And I think we're going to work on maybe, when we work on the storage system, we're probably just going to do like 1 or 2 components of it at a time just to make sure everything's working before we move on to the next thing. Because, as a whole, this thing has to work. And as a whole, each of the components has to work in order for the whole thing to work, right? So, yeah, we have the plan. We know we're going to work on the item input and the non-stackable section of the storage system. And rather than, trying to explain the redstone as I'm doing it step by step, which is just going to be a mess with me trying to explain stuff, I think I'm going to go ahead and get it built, and then I'll come back and explain what I did afterwards when it's hopefully working. So let's go ahead and call Dee Dee on over, put on a little bit of music, and try to make some progress here. Things aren't exactly working out to plan. And I'll address, what I overlooked here. I mean, it's obvious what I overlooked if you really think about it, but right now, I'm going to focus on getting this turtle out of here because he is freaking out right now. He needs water access. So, come here, turtle. Come on. This is something I can do. I can free you. Yes. We have fresh ocean access to you right over here. Turtle. Come on. You like water. You want water. You need water. You want to do this the hard way? Fine, let's do this the hard way. That's the only way I know how to do stuff, turtle. We're going to do this the hard way. You're going to get out of here. You're going to get out of my redstone, and you're going to enjoy your life, free of the confines of, just a maintenance area for redstone and stuff like that. So, yes, go, be free. What wonderful. Let me help you. You seem to be having some difficulties. Get to the source blocks. Let me go ahead and assist you there. There you go. That's nice, isn't it? Enjoy that ocean. Enjoy it. And stay out. Alright, so let me go ahead and fill you guys in on the problem that we're facing right now. And if you guys saw this before me, first of all, congratulations. Secondly, you couldn't have warned me or something? My goodness. Anyway, no, here's what the problem is. We built this whole system to empty our shulker boxes and get them back quickly, right? Now, it empties them quickly enough, but then the shulker boxes, when they break, have to go through this entire system through the non-stackable item filter and all the way over here before we collect them. And that whole process is not a quick process. That's just as long as it takes for those items to get put away, right? Or make their way into the sorting system itself. So obviously, this thing does not meet the criteria I want it to, the whole reason it exists, which means we're gonna have to change things up a bit here. So if you guys remember earlier when we were talking about how we were going to get our shulker boxes back, one of the possibilities that we discussed was, locking the hoppers. And I think, I'm going to amend my statement from a bit earlier when I said we weren't going to do that. We are going to do that. We're going to do that, and we're going to add another layer of hoppers to kind of reroute the shulker boxes back to us. And I think that should work. I think that might be a good solution to our problems here. Oh, and yeah, I did watch my time-lapse back. I know I'm missing some hoppers right here. I'll get these in. And the reason why I wanted to do this with you guys rather than just doing this in the time-lapse and then explaining it later is because, I told you the systems that we were going to get in, the components of the system that we were going to get in during the time-lapse. And this is a completely separate little thing right here that we're working on now. So, I just wanted to fill you guys in that way you weren't in the dark as to what I was working on and when. So I'm going to go ahead and spare you guys most of the convoluted nonsense I was spewing as I was putting this thing together, and I'm going to show you how this new system actually works, okay? Now, we're not done yet. There's still a couple more things I want to do, but this part should still be working. So basically, we just added another layer of hoppers up here and raised this whole section up by another block or so. And don't worry about the height, because the floor is actually going to be like this level right here, which shouldn't be too much of a problem as far as getting the shulker boxes in there. So basically what we're doing is we're locking this bottom layer of hoppers right here. You can see the hoppers right there. If we pull this switch, that actually is what causes the hoppers to lock and also what causes our shulker boxes to break. You can see that also extends the pistons up there. If we do this, pistons retract. If we do this, pistons extend. So that breaks the shulker boxes and places the shulker boxes in this line of hoppers, which carries them onto this barrel. So that's theoretically how we're going to get our shulker boxes back. So obviously, great benefit, but this does also come with a downside, and let me go ahead and explain what that downside is. Basically, this bottom layer of hopper minecarts right here, it's now not as, efficient as it once was at drawing items. Basically, it's trying to draw items from all these hoppers right here. And they might not be necessary at this point. I don't know. I'll do some experimenting. But basically, these hoppers are now going to back up a little bit. And we don't want to get anything else in this barrel aside from the shulker boxes. So what we're going to need to do here is maybe come up with a little signaling mechanism to let us know when that top layer of hoppers is actually empty. Alright, so I've gone ahead and installed my signaling mechanism. It's not a perfect signaling mechanism, but it'll work. So out of these hoppers, we're only taking a reading out of one of them and feeding that into a block and then lighting a light with it, basically. So it's not giving us an accurate representation of how filled or not filled all these hoppers are. It's just kind of giving us an indicator of, when we could expect the hoppers to be empty. As you can see, we're doing the same thing on this side. Don't worry about these hoppers over here for kind of locking them, because I don't think any hoppers that we're locking with this actually matter, because these all feed into the shulker box return system, right? So anything that goes in this barrel should only be shulker boxes, and those should only be flowing through here after the comparators are off anyway. So I think we're good. I'm about ready to give this thing a little test run. You guys ready for that? So what I've done is I prepared 4 shulker boxes, each with a kind of little random mix of stackable and non-stackable items that we're going to go ahead and push through the system here just to see if everything goes where it needs to be. Because there are 3 separate places where stuff is going to need to go with this little system right here. So hopefully everything works out how it should. Now you can hear items already making their way through the system, which is a good thing. You see the indicator lights are on, which is also a good thing. That means items are flowing down through this row of hoppers and into the actual system, right? Look at that speed. I like that. That's not the true speed. It's more like double hopper speed, but I like that start. It's a quick start. Anyway, these items are going to go into one of three places. This is where non-stackable, or where stackable items will go, excuse me. Except for this won't be a chest eventually. It'll be a water stream that carries these items up to our actual storage system, up to the item sorters and all that. That's stackable items. Now, as far as non-stackable items go, those are going to get diverted to this water stream right here using this non-stackable item filter we have in here. So basically, every item that comes through here will be checked to see if it's stackable or not stackable. If it's not stackable, it will be shot through this water stream. If it's stackable, it will go in the chest as we discussed. Now let's take a minute to discuss our non-stackable items because, you know, we did make some changes to this and we discussed where our shulker boxes are now going to go. Our shulker boxes will make their way into this barrel, right? Which kind of defeats the purpose of having our non-stackable item thing right here since we're not using that to collect shulker boxes. This could actually have remained at its original location. In fact, that's what we're going to do. We're going to move it back to its original location. Not today, though. I don't have time for all that today, but this would be a good opportunity to just make sure that all the non-stackable item filter stuff actually works. So we're going to go ahead and wait for some non-stackables to make their way through here and, you know, just make sure everything is as it should be. But since we're down here, let me go ahead and show you this. Basically, we're funneling all our items down here lower and lower, getting more cramped until we come to a single hopper right here. And this is what's going to slow down the items so that way they can be checked by the non-stackable item filter right here, which does mean that we're going at like single hopper speed, but that's okay because this wasn't meant to be fast, this was meant to be accurate. The only fast part that we need is this system right here, the shulker box unloader, just so we can get these shulker boxes back quicker. Speaking of, it seems like all our shulker boxes with the exception of one are empty at this point. Actually, this is empty, but the hopper that is draining into is not. So how much more do we have to wait? Okay, so we have the minecart right here draining at double hopper speed. Once this is done, then the light goes off and we can go ahead and retrieve our shulker boxes. So let's go ahead and do that. Please excuse me while I make my way back up to the top now. And we can check out this particular component of our shulker box unloading system. So hit the switch. The shulker boxes get broken and hopefully they make their way into this barrel. All four of them, please. Perfect. Yes. Excellent. Now, I'm not going to make you guys wait around for when we finally do get a non-stackable item actually making their way through the system because we have some right here. Actually, let's go ahead and just pull this out so we can hurry the process along so that way you guys can see what this should actually look like when non-stackable items make their way through here. Possibly. How can I do this? Could probably replace this maybe? Yeah, there we go. And there you go. There's a non-stackable item. So as you can see, the non-stackables get filtered. They go up there and get put into the non-stackable storage, which again is not going to be there. It'll be somewhere else. But, you know, at least we know the system itself works. Oh, and you know what? Since I'm explaining stuff anyway, let me go ahead and explain something else to you guys. So you can see the inside here, kind of. You can see we have some glazed terracotta back there with some redstone dust on it, okay? That's responsible for locking this back row of hoppers. So, we flick this, you can see that gets lit up, and those hoppers are locked at the same time. These hoppers are locked, which is kind of how we handle that. That also operates this system up here, our shulker box braking system. Basically, all this is controlled by a series of sticky pistons with redstone blocks on them that kind of carry the signal up through the center of this thing and do what we need it to do. So anybody that is interested in how my strange and awkward redstone works, well, there you go. There's a little peek at it for you and my thought process behind it all. And I think that pretty much covers at least the essentials of what we did here today, so that's going to be it for us. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please be sure to hit that little thumbs up button. That would mean a whole lot to me. And if you want to see more, please remember to subscribe. But as always, I just want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I deeply appreciate it. And until next time, I am Lobo, and I will see you guys later.